Welcome to another episode of the Palace Huddle Podcast. Here are your hosts, Rob Schwartz and Justin Onayemi, two Bears fans who decided talking into a microphone was better than shouting at their television. Welcome in, Palace Huddlers.
Huddle up!
All right, that was great. Great way to start a new regime. Well, not regime because it's still Ryan Poles, but a new era in Chicago Bears football.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. The Bear Claw. Like, why has that never been a thing before? Like, I feel like the people in the stands, like that one guy.
Oh yeah, with the
hat, but like.
Yeah, I mean, I saw something on Twitter that actually was a thing, and people are mad that like, no, it's that guy's thing. It can't be Caleb's thing.
Yeah,
but
those are Caleb haters. Those are still out there for some reason.
Yeah.
I want to actually talk about that later, but
okay.
Start us off, Rob. New era.
Yeah, so we're going to be welcoming in, obviously, this draft class. Turned out that we ended up with more picks than what we started with, and that was pretty cool. Before we do, I want to just say, guys, we need you guys to hit that subscribe button. We keep floating right around 600 subscribers. We go up and down, up and down, up and down. We got to hit that 750 mark. And now that Justin Fields jersey that we kept promoting that turned into any Chicago Bears jersey could be a Caleb Williams jersey. It could be a Rome Odunze jersey.
It might be Odunze. I feel like he might be the more popular guy right now.
Let us know if you want Fields. We could get that at a much reduced cost.
We could. I'll even make it number 2 and in a Pittsburgh
or we could
jersey.
just get Field jersey and just paste the Johnson name over
That's
it.
right.
Right.
There you go. There you go.
Well, that's the only thing we're kind of bummed about because Johnson's taking 1, which means Odunze doesn't get it.
Right.
So
yeah, that's okay.
But yeah, so hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave us comments. Love the comment section. Okay, I'm constantly trying to comment as soon as possible. But
we all love the comment section.
We
all
do.
get
Absolutely.
in there.
We
Fun.
do. Draft talk, and again, we love the support, but we just need more. We need to get over that threshold, get to that 750 subscribers, so we can give this jersey away. I want to do it before the season starts.
Definitely. So this is episode 80.
Episode 80.
We always dedicate it to a person with that number.
More.
Well, see what I wanted to do, I was trying to do all these like number things to take the draft picks, like college numbers plus their new numbers, and I couldn't get to 80.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So,
I have one.
I got a
that comes to
name.
mind, just
Probably the
my
same
guy, wide receiver,
Curtis Conway. Yeah.
Curtis Conway.
Any
Yep.
others?
Absolutely.
Not
I think
that,
there have been other 80s, but he's the one that stood
Yeah,
out to
yeah,
me for
yeah.
sure.
What
So
was Barry in 80?
oh yeah,
Was he 81?
Oh, I think he was 81.
Okay. He might be the next episode.
They got a couple 81s.
Hey,
What was that
number one
short
on
receiver?
the Super Bowl
Graham?
team.
Not
I mean,
Graham.
that's a good player.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, and this is the episode I'm excited about now.
Oh, there was another. Oh God, what was his name?
Davies.
No,
He was 81.
he
G.
was,
Davies.
Yeah, for 81.
Oh,
He's talking about.
He was a shorter guy. The same. He was there when they had.
Earl Bennett.
Yes,
We're
Earl
80.
Bennett. Thank you.
Yeah,
I was trying to think
we're
of
80 as well.
Johnny Knox. They were on the same team. Like I
Yes.
couldn't try to think of that era.
Vanderbilt.
See, now here's the thing. Think of how hard it is to think of these receivers from the past.
Right.
This core right now, I don't think we're gonna forget anytime soon.
I mean, it's a special time. It's special.
Like, is this the best trio in the NFL?
it's debatable. I want to see them play it out.
It's debatable. Yeah. I mean, he's still. I guess Boyd's not in Cincinnati anymore, but
Right.
I mean, that was a good one.
I mean, the Seahawks still have a good right because Lockett's still there. So
I keep hearing their names being
shop.
mentioned as possible trades, but
Sure. But as of now, on paper, right?
well, they're in the conversation, and I don't remember a Bears team ever being in that conversation.
No.
So
No,
I mean,
Marshall and Jeffrey was good.
Yes,
That's
they
2,
flirted
right.
with it.
and now to be in that conversation, you have to have 3,
You're right.
and I think they might have it. So, how do you want to start us, Rob?
So I want to start us with a video.
Mm.
A video. We're going to get this right off the bat. A video
Right.
that I created. Bob and Justin have not seen it yet. So
We're
I
like
want
the viewers. We're seeing it for the first time. as
Yes,
well.
I want their live reaction. This is going to be a welcome to the Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze video. And it's just going to show you guys how much chemistry these two already have that they developed while playing on different teams.
Okay.
All right.
Wow.
All right.
All right. Let's go.
I'm excited.
We're going to go full screen on this.
Get my popcorn.
I can't accept the loss, I'm hard-headed. There's a little bit of madness to my method. Many falling off that fine line that I'm treading. I risk anything to be great, and I'm not letting nobody rob me of my victory. Number one, that's what I'm meant to be. When by any means, only thing that makes sense to me, I can make nice or make history.
I like
got
that.
dog in me, yeah. Turn me up. Big energy, got the crowd going nuts. I got that dog in me, yeah. Any up. I take on anyone. I don't need a one-on-one. Got that dog
little more
in
on
me,
that,
yeah. I'm talking all right, no part. I could rip your squad apart. I got that dog in me. So what's up? Yeah. So what's up? I told her move over. Enough of that mediocre I've been. The man since cruising around in the stroller. I got ice in my veins like a cut in Minnesota. Why not? Show you how I'm built. Come a little closer. Ayy, lot of heart, been smart. Aura got a glow. We can restart, give head start, still get the same result. I'm about mine. Don't you get it confused? I'ma win again. Yeah, that's all that I do. I got that dog in me, yeah. Turn me up. Big energy, got the crowd going nuts. I got that dog in me, yeah. Any up. I take on anyone. I don't need a one-on-one. I got that dog in me, yeah. I'm talking all bite, no bark. I could rip your squad up. I got that dog in me. So what's up? Yeah. So what's up? They don't get it. I'm the type to break through the door.
They should probably be a little more open for Green Hill Bay. You got also cover DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. That's good stuff, dude.
Hell of a hype video.
Yeah, so that video is going to be out there just by itself, but I had a lot of fun doing it. It took me a lot longer than I thought it would be. Like, I don't want to like say how long it took me. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this.
No joke.
That's good.
But
though.
yeah, and
That's awesome.
I love the song. I will put credit to the song when I publish the video. I can't recall what it is, but it is one of those ones. Obviously, they're out there that are for free use, but it's called Dog. If you didn't catch that, and I do think these two guys have a lot of dog in them. Rome Odunze, I think, might be like legit the dog. Like that guy.
It's incredible that he was available to us at 9. The fact that he was the 3rd best wide receiver in this draft. I mean, I know some people probably had him higher, but the fact that a guy like that usually is the clear-cut number 1,
right?
And not this year, so he could fall to 9. Like,
and I hope. I mean, this goes a little to something we'll probably talk about later in the episode of what expectations we put on the team with this draft and this offseason. But I hope this is the last time in a long time that you even have a top 10 pick. And so to use it on a stud receiver that's a playmaker that, I think is so powerful.
Carolina.
True. Well, I mean, they still have things they could do to get into the top 10 if they choose.
But do you think that like a little bit of the inactivity in terms of trades in the top 10 this year had to do with teams being gun shy about giving up too much because of what just happened to Carolina?
Oh, it definitely.
Well, I think prior trades always serve as the precedent for what it'll take. And they did fleece them. Let's be very honest about that. Because Ryan Poles could have just gotten the number 1. I mean, they did the tank and they ended up with the number 1 pick. And even that was by that miracle finish in Houston. It could have easily been 2. But he could have just said, I got 1. I'm going for Bryce Young or I'm going for CJ Stroud. And let's be honest, at that time, I don't know that anyone saw what CJ Stroud did. But if you get CJ Stroud, he's not throwing to DJ Moore. You're not getting Tyreek Stevenson. You're not getting, absolutely. They got a lot for that trade. And now they get Caleb Williams.
Even knowing what we know now, Caleb Williams, but knowing what we know now about Stroud, even though, I know Rob Stroud was your top QB, was mine too, but like nobody saw that coming. But even if you thought that's what Stroud was going to be, I'd still rather have had the return, not knowing that we were going to get the number 1 overall either.
Absolutely.
So I don't know this stat for fact off the top of my head, but I'm 99.9% sure. As great as Stroud of a season Stroud had, he still only threw 28 touchdowns. I mean, good, great.
Bears record, you mean?
But I'm just saying, like,
that's
I think the expectation.
As we get into this episode about tempering expectations for this year as well.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, a rookie quarterback now.
Yeah.
Much better supporting cast in Chicago.
Way better supporting cast in Chicago. Mm-hmm. By the way, thoughts and prayers out to Tank Dell. I know he was involved in a shooting today. Everything sounds like he's fine.
Scary though.
But yeah, still
scary.
Not something you want to hear about anybody at this
Right.
point in today's world. But I do think that so there's some people out there that are already thinking he's going to throw for 40 touchdowns. He's going to throw for 5,000 yards. I mean, he is a rookie. There is going to be some adjustments that need to take place.
I looked at what it would take to have Bears rookie quarterback records in completions, yardage, and touchdowns. And let's just say I
feel
hope he
very
beats all of
comfortable
those.
and confident that Caleb Williams will break
All right,
Bears.
you know what the
rookie
record
but I'm
is
trying
for
to-
passing touchdowns for a rookie Bear?
I'm trying to think of who actually started their
Exactly.
season.
You used to
right?
not start
Like,
as a
Trubisky didn't. Fields didn't.
Fields get
Trubisky
Got
went
in,
10-7 or 7-7
Yeah,
his
but he
rookie
didn't
year.
throw many.
I actually don't know who holds the record, but I know the number.
I mean,
And it's sad.
I think it's less
Rex
than 20.
Grossman. I mean, I'm guessing Rex Grossman owns it.
Well, if he does, it's not a high number.
14.
11.
I was thinking at least it get to the teens.
11 teen, if you will.
Wow.
But
For a season?
there's not. Good one. We'll come back to that maybe.
No, let's lead. All right, okay, for those of you who didn't hear,
Well, let me lead in with actually
Okay,
something
go
else
ahead.
real quick.
all right, go ahead.
I just also want to say, like, I look at the character of Caleb Williams and Odunze and like how much they seem committed to wanting to be good, and not just individually, but team success. And I feel like these are two guys that you want as future leaders in your franchise. And I think they're already coming to a team that has guys that fit that mold as well. If you don't like Caleb Williams because of something you've seen on film and all that, and what
Or
that-
rumors. We've
or,
heard
or that,
rumors, right?
fine. But if this is about painting nails or this and those other
Crazy
stupid
red
ass
nose.
things,
Yeah.
just find another team and go support them. Because from everything I've seen from this guy and heard from this guy, he wants to win. He has a winner's mentality. That other stuff has nothing to do with who he is as a football player or who he is as a person, other than just a person who wants to be who he is.
So that was the one thing I was slightly concerned about outside of his size, right? Like I've said in the beginning, like his size was always
his fingernail color.
always a concern, right? Always a concern. I was a little concerned with how much support Justin Fields had in this locker room. Justin Fields struggled with certain things on the field, right? As a passer, we know this. However, in the locker room, he was a leader, one of the hardest workers, right? Like a lot of the players just gravitated towards the way that he was. My worry was that it was going to take a bit of a transition for any quarterback who was going to come into here. But we didn't know how much Caleb Williams was going to be in that category. And we're already seeing, I think that transition is going to happen a lot faster than I was expecting.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think
We'll
I
see
don't
it
know
on
if
Hard
was-
Knocks.
Yeah.
Maybe. Oh yeah, I mean-
Gary Ross.
Gary, do you know who I am? Ross?
That's right. Oh, that was a fun
All
night.
right, Bob, go ahead.
No.
Real quick, Bob and I went to I'll let you get to your thing one second. Bob and I went to the CHGO draft party for Thursday night, the first night. And I was also there last year when they traded down to 10 and then drafted Darnell Wright. Again, it was a much smaller turnout the first year for CHGO, but the reactions that we saw.
It was. I wanted to get to that at some point. The Rome, like the Caleb Williams reaction was great, but it was all
Fantastic.
just like, "Hey, the moment's finally here. Let's
Right.
celebrate this moment. Good time." But
Yes.
the Rome Odunze one was like, because we didn't really know what was going to happen. We all had Rome Odunze at the top of our best available at that time. We had him ranked higher than whatever second tackle we might have had. Like he was the guy we wanted. But if they would have said, Olu Fashanu, we were like, okay, I guess I get it.
Sure.
But, like
right.
I was
we were
on board with it.
all 200 people, they were all hyped and like,
Yes.
like Roger says, the Bears 9th overall pick select. And as soon as he said roll,
Yep.
like the place just absolutely
It was
exploded. It was like
insane.
hitting a grand slam in the bottom of the ninth type reaction. Like it was insane. It was electric. Like
Yeah.
it was so
Amazing.
much fun to be part of that.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it was like to be at Soldier Field because they also had a draft party.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm guessing there were even more than 200 people there.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
it was very fun. I enjoyed it.
I think it helps. Like his first jersey was Brian Urlacher. His favorite player of all time growing up, Devin Hester.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was like fate that he was supposed to be here. And he's not the only one that was drafted. We'll get to those other players later, but he's not the only one that seems to be fated to this team.
So back to entering into kind of that joke. I tried not to listen to that much outside response. I wanted to just have this be my chance to kind of say what I believe and that kind of thing. But I did hear just the opening interview that Caleb Williams did with the Score and Rome Odunze. And that's, again, where I'm picking up on who they are as people, how hard they work, how much they want to win, and things like that. And they on the Score, they said to Rome Odunze, hey, we heard that when you went to Washington, you looked up all the passing records, so you knew what you needed to do to, etch your name in the history books. And he said, do you know who the career leader is in receiving yards for the Bears? And he guessed Brandon Marshall. Not a bad guess. Not a bad guess. Shows he knows some of the history. You're going to steal his number. You might as well know something about it.
And if he was here longer, he probably would have.
Well, hopefully there's a lot of people that would feel that way.
Sure.
Because they go ahead and tell him that it's Johnny Morris. He didn't know who that was. Can't blame him. Played in the 50s and 60s.
Right.
But he said, how much was his yardage? And they said 5,069, I think, was the number. And it got quiet.
Yeah.
And he's like, in a career? But he did end and by the way, he ended the interview. He was actually shocked, I think.
Yeah.
He said he hopes to be lucky enough to break that record by a few thousand. But at the end, he ended the interview by saying, hey, I full respect for having any record. It shows the work and dedication. He's like, but I just want to, be here long enough to do better than that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But just good guys, it seems like.
Yeah, and that, Eberflus touched on, and Poles touched on that in some of the interview yesterday. You guys said you didn't see their final wrap up, but Eberflus said he called Odunze and Williams' parents into his office. They had a meeting and just thanked their parents for just how good young men these appear to be, and that has to be their upbringing.
Right.
And then they asked Poles what he's most proud of in the rebuild process to this point. And he said that, it's one thing to get the talent, but to get the talent with this high of a level of character is something that's very rare. And that's probably what he's most proud of. So it's just, you want your home team to win, but you also want to have guys you want to root for. And that just makes it so exciting right now that's where we're at. And
that's why I said, if you want to jump off this bandwagon for silly reasons, please do, because this looks like a talented, fun group of good dudes. And I'm including people like DJ Moore, Jalen Johnson, Montez Sweat. Those are leaders of this team. That's the core. TJ Edwards.
We're going to see Keenan Allen hit that role right away. He's probably only here as a 1-year rental, but the way that guy holds himself,
true professional.
He's going to fill in just fine.
So actually a good segue to what I was bringing up before is that I think having Keenan Allen coming in at the time he's coming in is going to help with the locker room transition, because here's a guy who's going to command and demand respect for what he's done in his career. And he had no ties to Justin Fields, right? Mm-hmm. So it is right now, it's like, hey, Caleb's my guy. He's always been my guy as far as the Bears are concerned. So what is this, loyalty to Justin Fields, if there is any? We're moving forward right now.
I love that point. And then Jalen Johnson took his number, so we're moving full on. He was one of the biggest supporters. So,
Which, speaking of Jalen, after the draft, day one, his first comment on Twitter was, "I can't wait for practice."
Yeah,
right.
The defense is already one we're projecting
now,
to be great.
We can actually say iron sharpens iron, and
there you go.
I've been at training camp multiple times, and you even think the offense is going to start showing something, and it's 7-on-7s, yes, but when they get into anything better than that,
actually, I feel bad because it's 2020, hindsight. But people were saying 7-on-7 didn't look that great last year.
That's what I'm saying. From an offensive standpoint,
I see.
You expected it with
yes. Okay.
We thought the jump with Fields was going to happen.
We were making excuses
with
back
DJ
then.
Moore and right, and it was still just not sharp.
Yeah,
credit to Greg Braggs. He talked about it consistently. Why are we not throwing the ball down the field? Why are we not throwing the ball down the field? And it, everyone was like, just relax. It'll happen during the games. Well, it didn't happen enough.
This team looks built to compete. Now I just feel like they should get them in a dome so they can. Different episode. Tune in. Rob did a great episode on
that. Rob already did.
That's right.
See that? Yeah. Check that one out. A lot of good stuff in that one.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, coming into the draft, knowing they only had the 4 picks, my dream scenario was Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, depth on the O-line, depth on the D-line. How do you think they did?
And a punter.
In my dream, yeah, I did not see the punter coming, and to me, the draft was already like on the A+ trajectory, and then I see pick 122 punter, and I'm like, okay. If you're a team that's like already in the Super Bowl conversation and you're just a punter away, so I was ready to go down to maybe A-.
Yeah.
But what we would have preferred they do at 122, I think, is pick a D end who can be an edge rusher who could be that depth.
Had they taken Booker at 4, we would have been like, okay,
exactly.
Great. So I mean, they got him at 5. They got the potential
to trade down and still get the same guy, you know?
Right.
But I think what you're alluding to is Braylon Trice went at 74, right?
Well, actually, I wasn't. I'm just saying.
Okay.
So the O-line depth or D-line depth, I wasn't picky, and I didn't know if this would involve trades and things like that. But obviously, whoever you're taking at 75 compared to who you're going to get at 122, you're probably getting
caliber
exactly.
Right.
And I do think the Bears were loaded up to take Braylon Trice out of Washington at 75, and Atlanta took him one pick before.
Yeah.
But Atlanta also did us a favor with the Rome Odunze because I don't think anyone had Michael Penix Jr. on their bingo card.
So I mean, I don't think
They
they
weren't
were
going
looking at
to
Odunze.
I don't think so either.
They didn't trade it to
Exactly.
They
Someone could have traded up,
locked in.
right?
True.
That
We
could
don't
have
got to
been.
go too much on a tangent, but how much of a Ryan Pace move is that, right? Oh, we're never going to pick the top 10 again, so we have to get a quarterback now, and we're going to tell nobody.
Do we want to talk about
Nobody.
awkward war room videos? That was Arthur Blank with Fontenot, like trying to explain.
Blank
what
is
was
probably
going
coming out of his
on.
mouth. We can't.
Whatever. We can get back to
Yeah.
this when we get back to the 9th pick, I guess. Why don't we keep this more holistically right now? But
Okay. Yeah.
So I didn't care where the depth came, but I do think they were looking to go edge rusher, Braylon Trice at 75. He was off the board. So then they take Karan Amagad. Oh, I said it well before.
Amagaji.
Thank you.
Amagaji.
Out of Yale.
Yes.
Should we talk about him specifically, or what do
we
you guys
can
think?
touch base. Just real quick, I mean, he is a guy who was part of their 30 visits. So he definitely was on the radar. If you haven't noticed, there is a trend that is very different with Ryan Poles that I recall from Ryan Pace. If I remember correctly, I don't think Ryan Pace drafted hardly anyone off their 30 visits.
Yeah, it was more like he knew who he liked. So let's just see if there's anybody else who maybe will change our mind.
Or throw people off or
Right.
whatever. I don't know.
There's
Ryan
probably a little bit of that too.
Or you learn about a guy who's going to get drafted somewhere else, and now you have a little
Sure.
bit more knowledge on him.
But Ryan Poles
Dumb
has
reason.
his team has been bringing in guys, and I've had people even in the Bear Goggles chat like complaining, like, why are you bringing in a guy out of Yale in for a top 30 visit, right? Well, you only have picks 1 and 9 and not picking till 75. Top 30 doesn't mean it's top
the 30
30
best
on your
prospects.
board.
Right.
That's not what that means. It means you get 30 guys that you get to bring in, learn more about. That's what they wanted to do. They
only used one of them on a guy they were going to pick at 1.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So they also got to see him firsthand at the Senior Bowl. He performed very well, especially there's videos out there if you guys want to find them, but they actually played very well against the tackle Morgan, who was drafted by the Packers in the first round. Owned him on a few plays. No, I take that back. That was Austin Booker who did that.
Right.
Oh, there you go. I was
Offensive
confused.
lineman can't take on
I was
offensive
confused. I was like,
lineman.
well, I don't know the drill, but I'll take it.
As long as our guy did better.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so with him out of Yale, obviously a developmental guy, huge wingspan, 36 and a half inch long arms, 6'6", 320 some pounds, almost a carbon copy actually of Braxton Jones with longer arms.
So that when you said obviously a project, I just want to point something out. So Braxton Jones, I believe, like one of the knocks on him was, and I could get the school wrong, was he from Southern Utah or something?
Yeah.
So they liked the film, but it's like, well, it's lesser competition.
Right.
And so that would be the knock on Amagaji. But 5th round, 3rd round, I mean, Braxton Jones earned a spot as a rookie. Now, from what I understand, hearing Ryan Poles, he kind of said his role probably would be as the swing tackle, but they even then mentioned he had played guard in college. You kind of said, looking at his size, you don't see that, but that was more of the role. But then he said, we're not putting a ceiling on him or anyone.
Yeah. I mean, as far as the guard goes, I understand maybe the body type's not there, but if he doesn't beat out Braxton Jones to be the left tackle, he's gonna have to be flexible. I know this guy's kind of a project, maybe smaller school, that kind of stuff, but a 3rd round offensive lineman has got to be one of your top 7 offensive linemen.
Well,
just has to be.
If he can't beat Braxton Jones, I certainly think he can beat Borum.
No, I agree.
Right,
I agree.
right.
But I'm just saying, like when the time comes, you need somebody to go on the interior. If that's where you need somebody, your 3rd round pick who has some experience playing that position in college better be ready to step in, at least fill in. I'm not saying long term he's replacing Tevin Jenkins, but you better be able to play some guard.
And there are guys that obviously are like less versatile than others, but it seems like in today's NFL, obviously you need studs, but it's about getting your best 5 guys out there and who have that continuity, because you can have guys of like with names. I mean, how many times do we watch a football game and you just like don't even hear the offensive lineman? That means they're having a good game. It doesn't mean that like he can't play guard. I just don't envision him that way.
Right. I'm not saying this is his long-term spot, but let's just say Amagaji does beat out Braxton Jones. Braxton Jones better be ready to play some guard if it comes to that.
Right. And I actually see Jones more as a guard than I do
Amagaji.
Yeah.
I butcher name, guys. We know this. But I also am very hopeful that Tevin Jenkins stays healthy all year.
Yeah. Nate Davis
bounces back after his unfortunate start to last year, dealing with the passing of his mom.
And then some bumps even during the season too.
Right.
And they needed obviously a little more depth. So
you went out and you spent your 5th round draft pick which technically should be a part of this draft. You spent your 5th round draft pick, which ended up being a future 4th for Ryan Bates.
That's Justin Fields' trade value right there.
Right.
So should we talk Austin Booker real quick, take a break, and then come back with some other stuff?
Sounds good.
Sure.
So
we also have to, I know we kind of mentioned, but obviously Tory Taylor too.
Right. Oh, that's true. So Tory Taylor ended up being the 122 pick.
Yeah.
Where maybe
Eagles
you
pick.
could have gotten like an Austin Booker. That was what was on our mind, I think, when.
Yeah.
So I actually wrote an article going into day 3 of guys who I thought the Bears might need to trade up for owning 122. Austin Booker was on that list.
Wow.
So I obviously thought, 115-ish is where I was kind of thinking they might have to move up to. The fact that they got him at 144.
They get him at 144, but you almost feel like you burned your pick at 122 by taking a punter. But Bob, do you want to speak to, this is not just your regular old punter.
Well, so I'll kind of speak out both sides of my mouth here, because when the pick was first made, I wasn't necessarily pumped up about it. Like, I knew how good of a prospect he was even at that time. I know that he's an absolute stud.
Iowa worked to death.
This is a team that's won 10 games in the last 2 years, and you're using a 4th round pick on a punter. Like, I know the roster's made a lot of strides in the last couple of years, but I just didn't think it was using 4th round pick on a punter type of condition shape. But that isn't a good spot, and he's an excellent punter. So,
even at the time before knowing they were going to trade back in and get an actual player to play on the D-line, one thought I had was, at least for the 2024 season, a really, really good punter with a track record to support supports the defense more than the guy you're going to get to come in rotational.
That point, but like the flip of it is, I really don't. I'm not saying I don't care what happens in 2024, but 2025 is when we expect this team to be a Super Bowl contender, and I wanted a guy who's going to come in on the trenches and maybe be an actual 25-25 contributor at that point, rather than the punter. But it got resolved in the 5th round by getting the guy in the trenches, so that's fine. But that was just my thought process of not immediately being pumped about.
Right.
And you weren't the only one. There was a lot of people.
And I agree, but I would also hope some of those players you're talking about are Zach Pickens, are Dexter.
No,
you know what I mean?
Like, that's why I wanted another swing at it.
Right.
That's why I wanted another swing at somebody.
Zach.
Sorry, excuse me.
But no, going back to the merits of this particular punter, he is an absolute stud. Ryan Poles said it himself, one of the best punters he's ever seen.
Yep.
He's
former rugby guy.
It's not just the leg strength, it's the touch, the accuracy, the backspin on the goal line. It's everything. And one thing I think is actually kind of interesting, I heard it on the radio earlier today, so I'm not going to take full credit for it, but the new kickoff rules is a very interesting wrinkle to what kickers have to do, because it's no longer just boot it out the end zone and get on with the drive. Like you're going to have to accurately drop the ball in to an exact zone so that, your defense can actually scheme where it's going to be.
Wow.
Right? Like you just.
Does he do that as well?
I don't know, but the leg talent. It's funny to talk about quarterback arm talent.
We're getting into this.
But we're talking about punter leg talent. You got to think that he'll.
Well, let's not forget Trenton Gill did a lot of the kickoffs for them too. It wasn't just
right. But again,
carrying 3 kickers.
All Gill did was just.
No, I'm saying
I
don't
see
be
a punter might do
use your
kickoffs.
punter.
Of course.
Right. The previous strategy was just boot it through the end, but now you have to drop it on.
I see.
Just 3 yards this side of the hash so that you can swing your it's going to be a totally different game. So if he can do that as well, it might be more valuable than we think a punter actually is.
So I want to touch on this because it was something that I read before we take our break, and it ties into Tory Taylor. So Nick Whalen, he's actually with the Bear With Us pod. He's coach.
I think I saw this tweet.
Yeah, so he tweeted this out. Field position is a big factor in winning games. I mean, I tweeted this out right away. When I saw that they took a punter, I'm like, all right, it's not what I was thinking at 122, but at the same time, like Trenton Gill was not performing admirably enough. And how often could 10, 15 yards make that much of a difference? I feel like it could. So he goes out there and says, one study revealed that for every additional net yard per punt equals 7.29 points over the course of an entire season. Okay.
So,
it's an EPA
per
count.
season.
It's like a
per season.
It's
but
an
still,
EPA
7 points is a
to get to that.
touchdown.
We talked about EPA at some point.
So one more touchdown net worth of points for or against could easily result in another win. Right? Because how many times do they lose by 1 score game?
So you're talking about an average yard. So a punter who averages 37 net yards, a guy who averages 38 net yards is 7 points across an entire season better.
Correct. So wait, it gets better. Net punt average by season, and he lists. Obviously, we're talking Taylor in the college and Gill. Obviously, part of this is in the NFL ranks, but Taylor was 44.4 last year. Gill was 38. 2022, Taylor was 41.1. Gill was 40.9. They were closer in 2021, 42 and 41.1. Taylor 42.7 and Gill 39.1 in 2020.
Can I just ask, the one that they were closer though, was that when they were both in college?
Yes. No, 2021 was the first year Gill was drafted. Okay. So 2020 was the year. Points added by year due to net punting using the study. 2023. Wait, hold on.
Should have been like 42 or something.
46.7. 2022 was closer. 1.5. 2021, 6.6. 2020, 26.2.
Well, according to Caleb Williams, Taylor's not going to get to punt that often, which can really throw off his average.
Those averages.
Excuse the average.
I mean, that tweet, it's very well researched. It's not wrong in any way, but it's a perfect example of how you can kind of make the numbers and analytics say what you want them to say.
Statistics.
I mean, at the end of the day, having a better punter is better.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right?
Oh, I agree.
And you can quantify it using EPA. You can actually quantify it. So, I get it.
And I'm not ready to put him there, but he could be. I mean, we had Punt God not that long ago, right? In Buffalo and all that nonsense. But, he's more than just a guy who boots the ball. He could be one of the best punters in the league next year, even as a rookie.
About it.
And it helps your defense. It then helps your offense. I mean, it just helps you. It's one of the phases of the game.
Right.
So, should we do the break or real quick anything on Booker? Because I have a few things I want to talk about Booker, but maybe we should do the break.
Why don't we do the break and bring it back?
Get that back. We go pick back.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Enjoy
everybody
these ads.
Enjoy these ads, and it better not be Packers ads. Not tonight.
Can't. No way. Welcome back to the Hallis Huddle post 2024 draft. Probably a draft we're going to remember for a very long time, wouldn't you say?
I mean, it's the first draft of the rest of our Bears fandom, right?
That's right.
This is exciting times.
This is as excited as I've been about a Bears team since I can ever remember. I mean, I was around for the 85 Bears, and apparently I was pumped. That's what I was told, because I was only 3 years old. But I would love to be a 3-year-old who's into football now, because this looks like it could actually be exciting and sustain. I think that's what they thought back then, and then they broke the whole thing up. But this looks like it's being built with a plan. And maybe we talk a little later about Poles as an architect here.
Can I assume that you mean leading into the season? Because the 2006 season was awesome.
Just about I
Yeah.
think you mean the
direction of the entire
future
organization,
of the
Okay.
franchise,
where it's headed.
Right.
health
Like that
of the
2006
franchise,
season
the health of the organization.
felt like a one-year wonder. It didn't
Yeah.
feel like it
Right,
was ever
exactly.
gonna amount
This
to-
you're excited. Some of the
Right.
players you're excited about are 22 damn years old
Right.
and have arrows that are
Right.
fully, hopefully, in an upward direction.
And now I do recall being fairly excited about the 2022 and the 2023 season, but
So I'm just.
I only
throw
predicted
this,
8
I'm just
wins
gonna throw
last
this
year,
out there.
so-
I probably was more excited about the 2019. Was that the
yes,
year
after
the
28,
double 20?
yes.
I was super pumped
Yeah.
about that season. I would say it's 16-0, all
This
this
is
us.
nonsense, and then I forgot
That
that
we're the
we
Chicago
really
Bears.
don't know what Mitch Trubisky was yet. And yeah,
We learned quickly.
I'm sorry to bring that energy down.
Double doink.
Yeah, I didn't.
But I was pumped about this season.
I
But-
definitely didn't think
yeah.
we'd be mentioning the double doink
Yeah.
on this episode.
Yeah,
so thank
that's-
you.
I mean,
too bad.
okay, we got to talk
That's
about
our last
George,
playoff appearance, right?
George Pickens.
Oh,
we got to get all these contractual things.
Get it
in.
out of our
Cole
system.
Kmet for Maloney because we're going to be meeting with him tomorrow.
That's right. Check us out on the
Yep.
Bumcast tomorrow.
right.
Well, today, I guess, when you hear this.
Yeah, today.
Monday. We were talking, we got so much into the draft. We couldn't even get through all their picks without going 35 minutes or so.
I mean,
So we have one more player we want to talk about and then look a little bigger picture maybe.
Sure.
So again, we wanted them to address D-line, edge rusher, maybe inside, but at first it looked like they weren't going to at all. But they trade back into the draft and at 144 select Austin Booker out of Kansas.
Yep.
I have a few thoughts on him, but I don't know if one of you wants to lead first or
I'm okay with you.
you want me to just go into it?
yeah, go.
Unless you'd rather
So-
do more of a rebuttal. But
No, I mean,
Oh,
I'll
okay.
say what I have to say and maybe you'll agree or maybe you can,
Do you
have
want
a
an
rebuttal
overview
yourself.
for him?
No, I just want to just say my initial thoughts on him.
Okay.
He's 6'6", so he's got great length.
Yep.
Now he's undersized in a sense with his weight, but I'm confused about that because he was listed way higher. I heard he lost weight to do the combine and
Opposite.
then
Oh no, yes,
No,
for the
it's-
combine.
yeah, he was
for the
250
combine
the
and
pro
then
day.
didn't perform well even with that. But anyway, one of the things I'm
No,
concerned
but then he actually put on weight for I think it was his pro day. He bumped up to 253. That was his
Okay.
final, and he actually ran faster at 253 than he did.
at
I
one
think,
point
at
he was
like
listed at
225.
270 something.
that was his like
College.
media guy
Okay.
college.
So
Yeah,
was
I
that a
don't
bold-faced
think-
lie,
I
or
don't
he
think
lost
so.
that
I
much
don't
to do
know.
the
I'm
combine?
just saying that's what was in the Kansas.
Yeah, I
Either
don't-
way, I
don't
think in
it
the
was
pros
that
he's
good.
going to
Yeah.
have to put on more than what he was listed at on draft day.
Yeah.
From what I can tell, has a motor, which I know Eberflus will love.
Mhm.
I hope that this, defensive coaching staff can get the most out of him because I feel he's pretty raw. A lot of the film I saw on him, some of his better plays, I see him coming standing up on like obvious rush downs. So I'm thinking, is he a hand on the ground type of guy? I think, again, with the coaching staff, I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt that they'll get something out of him. I think learning from Montez Sweat every day is going to help. But he's a rotational piece, and you're expecting that at 144. Had they now been taking a guy like Jared Verse instead of Odunze, which I personally wouldn't have liked as much, then you're expecting go in there and get
Right, you better
10
get 12
sacks in your
sacks,
rookie
right.
season. So that's my kind of thoughts on him. But what do you guys got?
Yeah, so he is very raw. Okay, so in 2022, he only played 3 games. 3 games, didn't have any sacks. 2023 was his breakout year. Played a full season, came out with 9 sacks. Again, as I completely misspoke earlier, he is the guy at the Senior Bowl who was dominating the tackle Morgan that the Green Bay Packers drafted. Which, by the way, I did have a first-round grade on Morgan, so I don't really hate that pick for Green Bay. I know Bears fans love to just pour salt
Well,
on the
It was
wounds.
like the most boring pick of the first
Very
round, right?
boring, but
yeah.
Can I just pivot off that for a second, though?
Yeah.
How crappy must it have been to be a Detroit Lions fan at that draft when the Bears picked Caleb Williams and Odunze 1 and 9?
I mean,
Minnesota
I
made some
love
great
Minnesota's
picks in the first
draft.
round, and
I
Detroit's
mean-
still yet to pick, and you're just like watching your division
Yeah.
just get better and
But
better.
they
and
did
better.
they made the move
Picked a
to
corner.
trade up, which is exciting for the fans, and they got a good corner. I like that.
You
kid.
better get a good corner. You got to play the Bears.
I felt like they did in the second round. Like, it was just like, all right, when do the Bears pick? Because it was
Yeah.
just like, after watching them pick 2 players in the first 10
not only
picks,
that, it's like
just-
when did the Bears pick? It's just like, well, then that guy got taken, that guy got
Right.
taken, that guy got taken,
Right.
And then it's like, all right,
Yeah, but I wouldn't have traded down from 9 to make sure that I had a second round pick for any of those
I
guys.
mean, we talked about
Right.
this too. You
Get
got to
your
get
blue.
the legit blue chip
Yep,
player.
and they
do
did
this
it.
a blue chip player, and versus like just more of a typical first round player. Like
Right.
there's a difference. Like, yeah, you got to get the blue chippers.
So going back to Austin Booker, some of the things that stand out for him, right? Obviously, length, right? He's another guy that has a really great wingspan or wingspan. Uses his length, has a nice natural bend. He uses his speed. He's got an elite burst. You know, we talked about last year, Jervon Dexter not having that elite burst off the line. Austin Booker has that. He's a little bit undersized. He gets eaten up. He's not the best at run support. It's not that he doesn't read the plays correctly. It's not like I'm blanking on his name now.
Robinson?
Yeah, it's not like
Dominique
Dominique Robinson, who you just constantly
Always gets
just see
pulled on the
crashing on the
action.
inside as the ball goes around him on the right. He knows, like, he does follow the play correctly, but he just
Pushed
gets
out of
eaten
lanes.
up.
Yeah.
He gets too tall, loses his leverage.
When you talk about that good burst, is some of that coming out of a standing stance?
Yeah, I mean, you're right when you say that. I do agree. I think he's fine with his hand on the ground. What I will say is he's not going to be a starting defensive end for this team. He's going to be a 3-down specialist like a Mark Anderson was when he was here.
I mean, I just want to make sure, like, that's a very valuable role.
Absolutely.
Like,
For
you
sure.
got to have a rotational, like, pass rusher. You just have to. I mean, that's almost like a starting position. Almost. I know he said he's not going to be a starter, but like
you're in on the first, third, and long.
Right.
Sure.
I mean,
Right.
it's critical.
When we see the team as it is right now, I mean, the starting defensive end on the opposite side is going to be Walker, right?
Yeah,
Like he's
it's
going to
gonna
be the starting on defensive end unless they go out and sign somebody. I mean, I think Yannick Ngakoue is still available.
And that's one of the things I also want to talk about are some moves that they might still make, but let's finish talking on the draft a little bit.
So back to Booker real quick. I love the pick where he got him. I had him as a 4th round grade, so getting him in the 5th to me is fantastic. I was definitely fine with trading the future capital that they had to get that pick back from Buffalo.
Yeah, I like it. I get it back because that was the pick they sent for Ryan Bates.
That was the pick they sent for Ryan Bates. The best thing that they have, or he has, in my opinion, and I've heard people refer to him this way, and I'm not talking just me, like fans. I'm talking like actual NFL scouts, and not the former NFL scout for anyone who follows that guy on Twitter. The motor is what people compare to Max Crosby. So, I mean, that's a good guy to be compared to.
You got to put on some
muscle. I saw
motor,
that.
motor, not
motor
play,
only.
not anything else.
And Eberflus will love that.
You're not going to see loafs from this guy. You're not going to see loafs from this guy.
Yes, I mean, the one thing I guess I'll just say is, you know, I don't really watch tape. I have no idea about that. I'd read the scouting reports, which Dane Brugler, the Beast, is the one guy, and he had him as a 3rd rounder. He had him like 78th overall. Wow. So I mean, it's a good player. But the other thing I like to do is I like to watch all the interviews. I like to watch as much and see what kind of read you get on people. That's why I love Caleb Williams. I love Rome Odunze. These guys are just like mature people already. And you kind of get the sense from Austin Booker, at least I get the sense from Austin Booker, that he's got a lot of growing up to do.
Mm-hmm.
He's still, I know he's only 21, so he actually is younger, but it's just like the emotional maturity and insecurity that you can just kind of get the sense of doing those interviews. He's got some room to grow. So I wonder if that had something to do with the fall as well. And, you know, that can impact, you know, you get your ass knocked down, you know, is he the kind of guy who's going to get back up? I know the motor, but I mean, when you're just getting crushed play after play, like, is he, you know, emotionally strong? Maybe that's unfair to put that out from seeing some interviews, but it just, you just kind of, I feel like I get a good sense of these things.
I would guess it could be something like that, paired with the fact of what you brought up, which is only really showing in one season.
Yeah.
And not looking at a guy who maybe did this over 2 years, or over 3 years. So it's a project, and he's going to be part of a rotation. But I think there are still some moves that could be made to shore up some things, because you only came into the draft with 4 picks and you ended up with 5.
Came out with 4 picks, and then you come out on the other end with a franchise quarterback, a top 10 wide receiver, a starting left tackle, and a rotational defensive end. Like, those are
and a punter.
4 and a punter. I mean, those are 4, you know, prestigious, like, high value positions that they targeted with their 4 picks.
One thing I think we forgot to mention, I flirted it, I teased it, but Amagaji.
Local product.
Hinsdale,
Yeah.
huge Bears fan. Huge
Mhm.
Bears fan. You go
The
through
receipts.
his Twitter. Oh my God, he is there with us, guys. He's out there. He called.
He might even listen to the Hallis Huddle.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Like he called out.
If so, we'll give you a jersey.
Offensive linemen for just their poor play, right? And that's great coming from a guy who actually plays the position. Rashawn Coward might be the worst NFL lineman he's ever seen.
Rashawn Coward was a defensive tackle, like
Converted.
True.
That's
True. There was one tweet where he said, "Get rid of the whole offensive line." I think that was in 2020.
Who's calling these plays? I think
who's calling these plays? He's a big Justin Fields supporter. I mean, he's there, like bleeding,
and told Eberflus,
just like us,
I'll be on the team next year.
Yeah, met him at a golf course and told him, like, hey.
So, I mean, the way Eberflus said it, he didn't just it wasn't like a random meeting. Like he was waiting for him at the turn after the 9th hole.
Yeah, because he knew
like,
he was there.
He was out there,
yep.
So he went out of his way to, hey, coach, check out my film. You're going to draft me next year.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not trying to steer us to go into too much depth on this, but was there an interesting UDFA signing? Was it the dude that you were supposed to
interview? Ready? Yeah.
I heard he's they got the highest bonus they've ever given to a UDFA.
Yeah, 12.5K or something like that.
Yeah, but that he might actually be someone they're trying to.
I think it's the second highest to Tyson Bagent, or it just surpassed Tyson Bagent. Tyson Bagent was either currently first or second. So
can you give the name, and then do you know anything about him? Because they're saying he could be coached into actually being on the team. And
yeah, it's Reddy Stewart.
Reddy Stewart, I think.
Out of Troy, a lot of pass breakups, right? Doesn't have the interceptions on his resume, but defensive back corner. Yep.
Okay.
A ton of pass breakups.
Does he return at all? Do we know? Or
I didn't dive deep into him. I was supposed to interview him, and timing just didn't work out, so I didn't get a chance to dive into his film. Just a little bit of stuff that I had known about him, but I am hoping. I did reach out to his agent, and I got a heart back, so I just gave a congratulations and said, "Hey, welcome to the Bears," and I'm hoping that I can at least lead that into some type of interview here in the future. But cool. Again, from what I understand, great ball hawk skills, gets his hand on the ball, a lot of PBUs.
That's probably why they like him so much.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think he, in this system, at best, he's going to start off as a special teamer, maybe make the practice squad, but he definitely has a lot of upside. And they met with him prior to, I think it was just them in Pittsburgh were the two that met with him. He only met with 2 teams, but great interview that they had with him, and I do like that that addition to the team.
Well, and I'm not just saying this from a UDFA standpoint, but the Bears are building something that I would imagine people look at and go I might want to be a part of this.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So you might now be able to get the guy that's on the fence, the late veteran who wants to sign and try to be a part of something special.
100%.
And I think we could talk a little bit about some of those moves.
Before we go into what's next, are there any other UDFAs of interest? I know they signed that other defensive lineman from Illinois, Keith Randolph.
Yep.
Who, I know a little bit from watching Illinois football.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
They signed a quarterback.
They signed a quarterback.
Yeah. Which Caleb Williams seemed to be excited about.
Because I thought I heard they had the same passing coach or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So
they might knew each other.
Yeah, they might.
I was a little confused by it.
I
think they might work out together.
If it wasn't that, then it was just all right, Caleb, you do have to tone it back. I know you want to be hey, welcoming. Yeah. I'm the leader now, but hey, let's.
Yeah, I think there's a connection. I don't know exactly the ins and outs of it.
I will say, Bears Twitter is going to love Caleb Williams, because as much as Justin Fields was reserved, and the only thing he ever did was his Instagram post that literally had little to do with football. It was more his workouts and his dog. Caleb Williams is out there tweeting at current players, tweeting at guys that they actually brought in. He's just making his rounds, and it's fantastic to see how much he's connecting with guys right away.
Yeah, that's awesome. I will say, as I brought it back in from the break, how this is a historic draft, and that night it was just so. I'm talking about day one. just such a special feeling to like see where this is going. But then knowing that I do the Dallas Huddle, I'm also like, should they sign Ryan Tannehill as a veteran backup? Like almost instantly after the pick, I'm sitting here trying to look at it a little deeper. So like, that is a move I would like to see them make, but bringing in a veteran backup because he needs to still learn some things about being an NFL quarterback.
You don't like Tyson Bagent, man?
I mean, I like Tyson Bagent, man, but like there's got to be somebody in that quarterback room who like as a player is saying, hey man, I've seen this before. This is what they're going to do to you. Or, hey, I've seen this before. You did this. Let's do this next time. There's got to be somebody in that room to like walk through that kind of stuff with them.
The two veterans I keep hearing is Ryan Tannehill and Carson Wentz. Between those two, I definitely want Ryan Tannehill. So that's why I'm like on that name. But are there any other names I'm like overlooking? Are there guys out there?
Nathan Peterman still out there?
Well, because there are guys more like that who, I mean, even when they brought in Rippon or whatever, who has experience with Waldron.
He has a cap arm. I mean, or a camp arm.
Well, he also has experience with Waldron.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that might be a reason to look at a certain name, but I think that will be a very important thing to do. But I don't know if you guys have any names or have thought about it that far.
I haven't thought about it that far in advance. I mean, unlike you, I did not think about Ryan Tannehill immediately after.
You guys were at a party. You guys were like, you guys had other people to like bring up that energy. And I high-five my son, and then I'm like, Tannehill? What do you think?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was like 8 drinks in and maybe a couple edibles. So.
It was a great time. It was just cool to be in that element with those Bears fans. Like it was cool.
So
Bob, quarterback.
You talked about 2025. Like, hey, we're making signings to be a Super Bowl contender. But this year, what do you guys think? Where could this team get to? What should be the benchmark? What is a successful season versus maybe one where you're kind of a little more worried?
I know he's a rookie quarterback, but he has the surroundings. This better be a 10-win team. That's where I'm at with it. And my only real concern with the team right now is still center. I'm a little worried about it. I don't know how good Ryan Bates is going to be at that position, or Cameron Shelton, Coleman Shelton. Sorry,
Shelton.
See, I can't even say his name right.
I don't know either, but I mean, like we're a pro Ryan Poles podcast. I think.
Yeah, I think. I mean,
I
don't know if there's anyone who likes Ryan Poles more than me.
So if they're comfortable with it, like,
and it's not even that. I mean, I think both of them are hopefully serviceable enough that you can feel confident they're not going to like mess things up for you in a sense, like be replacement level, because that would be an upgrade.
But
at this point.
Here's where I do feel more confident, and you see it in some of those plays that were in that video that I created. The release,
it's so quick.
It's so quick.
Yeah.
It is not the Justin Fields elongated arm motion, which I honestly did. I got to give Benjamin Albright props because I bashed him over and over and over again, saying that it didn't fucking matter. And it clearly mattered because that elongated arm motion and his hesitation to throw what he knows he was seeing. He saw it so many times. He saw what he was seeing, but just didn't rip it.
I was going to toe the line and go in the middle there, though, and say maybe it wasn't all the release, but maybe not trusting that he was seeing what he was seeing.
There's a combo of the two.
Because he knew he couldn't get it there maybe as quickly as he wanted.
But we're going to see Caleb Williams, obviously, as a rookie, struggle with those decisions as well, or at least you assume you're going to. But he has that release and the flick of the arm to the point where you don't have to worry so much about that internal pressure as you did with Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I still got to get the ball to him in the air, though. Like,
yes. We need snaps. We saw that one where it was like on the ground.
He has experience. That's when Foles was like, I like this guy.
Which, by the way, who did the Raiders? Did they take Zach Frazier?
Yeah.
Or was it Jackson Powers Johnson?
No, the Steelers. The Steelers got Frazier, the West Virginia wrestler.
That's right.
So
Steelers did.
The Raiders took a center. Because I remember thinking, well, Getsy clearly is tired of these damn snapping issues.
Did they take?
Let me quickly check.
Did they take the Duke kid?
Maybe.
No, JPP or JPJ. Jackson Powers Johnson at pick 44.
Yeah, so like clearly Luke Getsy, who is now their offensive coordinator, was like, no, like I'm tired of this blame game. If my guy can snap, we have enough time to throw the ball.
Wow, we'll see. That's kind of curious about that team. But anyway,
I'm curious about Pittsburgh too.
So, I mean, we talk about where the Bears going this year, and like I feel like there's like the median expectation, and then there's like the ceiling. And I agree with you. Like the median expectations has got to be playoff. It's got to be. It got to be 9-10 wins. It's got to be playoff. That's the median expectation. But like, where do we see the ceiling for this team? Can they compete for the division? Can they get to the NFC Championship? Like, is this
so
plausible?
I want to speak to something you both said and kind of tie it together. You talked about how what your first thought when you took that punter was, you guys have won 10 games in 2 seasons, which is a fact. And you mentioned how many losses were 1-score games.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the rebuild that Ryan Poles is now in year 3 of doing. And when you look at what they started with and had bad contracts that they had to make some moves to get out of and tank season and all that, compared to what they have now, there's not that many holes. Center, yes. Getting an edge across from Sweat would be great. But I still think, okay, you're going to have your first next year, 2 twos. That's when you address those things. Those are not big enough holes to me to say that you are not in the thick of the playoff hunt. And I know this is a tough division. That's one of the things that's holding me back is I just think the NFC North is a really strong division.
I think it's a strong division,
you could
but I also don't think anybody's great.
Exactly.
Right?
So, like, you could come out and be the cream of the crop in this division, which puts you in the conversation conference-wide.
Things go
and
your
that's
way,
next
you
year.
win 12,
And then you
that
look
could
the
be
year
the
after that
division.
and the year after that, who's to say you're not spoken of how the 49ers are, you know, where it's like you got the offense, you got the defense, you got star power, you have it all. So we better be talking. Remember, even last year we said in the hunt, and we even got it.
We
you
were
know?
in the hunt. We were in the hunt.
Graphics in December.
November. Was it December even?
Into
Okay.
December.
Into
We
the
were in the
very,
hunt.
very, very bottom.
I think technically the Bears weren't even eliminated until week 17. You know, like one
Yeah.
week before
I
the
see.
end
That's
of the
true.
season.
That's true. There were still
You know?
weird permutations that
Yeah,
could have
'cause
eked
they had
them
the
in.
Packers game still, so things could have worked out where if they won out. And they
But
got
if
some
that's
help.
where we're at, we're a little below
No,
expectations.
I mean, I expect their draft pick next year to be somewhere in the teens into the 20s.
I was thinking
20s.
early 20s.
Yeah.
I was hoping early 20s.
I'm thinking 20s.
I think that'd be great. It'd be
Right where
great
you
if
take
the-
a center.
It'd be great if the Panthers
Right where
were
you take a
still,
center.
you know, in the top 10. That'd
Yeah.
be nice.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that second round pick will be
Yeah.
like 34.
so, I mean, do we have expectations for Caleb?
Oh, I didn't finish those
Yeah.
rookie records. 11
Yeah.
touchdowns. I think he could exceed.
Oh,
Completions is
if he doesn't beat that,
completions is
there's
100.
He
problem.
could beat that in the first 4 games.
Yeah, there's a problem.
Completions is 196. Now, again, there's 17 games now. Let's say he plays
Yeah.
14 games. That comes out to 14 completions per game.
Oh god, he better beat that too.
So one, I'd like to see him play more
As
than
long as
14.
he's not getting hurt,
Right.
Like,
So I even said if he plays 14, that means he misses 3 games.
Yeah.
He still would only have to do 14 completions per game to tie the
God.
record. I mean, we know the records are abysmal, right?
yes,
And I don't know
I
the
know, but
yardage.
just when you
I think the
actually
yardage
say
is
them out, like
2,100 or something.
like that. Yeah. So I
So-
fully expect Caleb to obliterate
All the
Bears
rookie records.
I mean, that's fine. The Bears, like season records for anybody.
That's not this year.
They're in play. I'm not predicting him to break them, but they're in play, right?
They are
Yeah,
in
so
play.
what's I mean, obviously it's 29 touchdowns, I think, for Eric Kramer,
I
right?
believe
Yeah.
so.
And
And,
it's like
yardage,
38,
38.
38. I think it's 38, to be honest.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, you
I
gotta,
won't say he's gonna beat that, but he could. I
He
mean,
could. I mean,
no.
we were talking about it a little bit on Thursday, where like I think that like my expectation in my head, the number that I just come up with not thinking about it was 38.50. I think that's kind of where
so he would beat it then.
But like I think
What does
that
that
he's
come out
more
to?
likely to go over 4,000 than like be under like 3,400.
Yeah. Well, because
You
I
know.
just did the math here. So you said 38.50,
Yeah.
and assuming he plays every single game, do you guys know what that comes out to per game?
I only do because I saw your calculator.
It's like 220
Two-
something.
226.
226.
That's not like whoa.
Right.
Which shows how bad that record is.
But it's a productive NFL.
Well, and that's
player.
playing
it's
every
not-
game.
It's not easy to
No, not
necessarily
easy.
I
do
mean, you
that,
say
so-
whoa, but like if you think about it, you shouldn't think about it. If you actually look at like what guys average for yards per game, it's usually only like, and you're talking top guys, we're talking like 240, 250, up to 270. Like most of the guys in the league are like at 220, 230, right?
So I did 240 and only did 16 games.
Yeah.
That comes out to 38-40. You'd still beat the record by 2 yards.
There you go.
That's exciting to be talking about that for
play.
your rookie quarterback, that he might smash the record you've ever held in your franchise. It's a sad franchise when it comes to passing and receiving records.
Is there any chance that he's Ryan Leaf, Jamarcus Russell? Do you guys have
That's how you want to end the show?
I mean, let's go.
I think it's worth having a discussion.
Okay, let's talk
0
that.
to 100%. Where are you putting it on that scale of it
The Ryan
potentially?
Leaf meter.
I mean,
Shot.
Ryan Leaf
Let's
is
give
the-
ESPN a shout out here. Shot or no shot? Like where
a shot or no shot
of him being a bust?
If it's shot or no shot, it's no shot.
I say no
Okay.
shot.
If it's on a
I mean, if it's
spectrum,
but that
I
to
mean,
me, that's if
like,
it's no shot, you're under 10%. That's my thought.
Yeah, I'm under 10%.
Okay.
I mean, like to be a bust is under 10%. To be merely an average quarterback is a different
Sure.
different
Different
outcome.
conversation.
Yeah,
Ryan
different
Leaf was not a good
conversation.
quarterback.
Well, and I'm trying to even think like what were they coming into?
I have no idea.
And I
It was
can't
way
quite
before my
remember.
time.
I mean, I'm
I
trying
know
to
Oakland
remember,
was awful.
But it was a mess is
Yeah.
basically what I'm saying. And this
100%.
doesn't feel
Yeah.
that way.
No.
And
So
even
I don't
Jamarcus
see-
Russell went into a mess at Oakland at the time too. I mean, that
Right.
was
Oh,
Al
yeah.
Davis's final years.
But
Like,
he
it
also
was-
wasn't like keeping up with his training. I mean, he was
No, I
Well,
know, but I
and
mean,
that's
he went
why
to
I
an
think this
environment
is
that
no
didn't hold him
shot.
accountable
Right,
either,
right.
right? So it was
Right.
But let's be
This-
honest. If it wasn't for the Panthers pick, Justin Fields is probably still the quarterback of this team.
That question
No.
was actually asked to Poles, and he kind of dodged it. And I probably had that thought early on, but
They would have had to move
Thinking
up.
more about it, I feel they knew
And
they
no
were
one
going to
moved
have
up.
they knew they were going to have 2 firsts that were both going to be top 10.
I mean, what if Panthers were the 4th pick instead of the 1st pick?
They'd be looking at Daniels, they'd be looking at May, they'd be
Yeah,
looking
but
at
you would have had to move up, and no.
No.
one did.
Well, I don't know
I
how
mean,
specific we're talking
Like,
because like
JJ's in the conversation, like Penix. I mean,
Right.
who knows what people?
I
have
think they
thought,
would've-
You know,
Penix at 8.
I think they knew they were going to have 2 top 10 picks most likely, and they had Fields in like a prove it year, and he
Sure.
did not do enough to prove it.
And I think it's more likely that Odunze isn't on the team than not a rookie quarterback on the team if we don't get the number 1 pick, because you just.
But then you
packaging
probably
those-
don't
you're
trade
packaging.
Fields,
I
and
think
you
you're
probably
packaging those top 10
pair 'em.
picks, 2 top 10 picks to New England or whatever to like
Right.
to
Get
just
your guy.
get a guy.
Who's your guy? And it wouldn't be Williams. 'cause-
Again, I feel like
yeah.
if that happened and you did take a rookie quarterback, I'm probably keeping Fields though and just pairing him.
I believe you're keeping Fields.
Yeah. Oh, I
there were multiple rookies coming out this year that a GM would say, all right, I'm going to reset this with my guy.
I think resetting the clock is more of a thing that.
But you are resetting the clock.
Even I gave
You
it
bring
credit
in, you bring
for.
in Drake May, you still have Justin Fields. Like it's not like you're paying $6 million.
You need to do an Atlanta Falcons podcast.
I mean,
I guess I see what you're saying. Like you
didn't have to move on.
You had to move Fields. You had to move Fields
Because you're bringing in the number
But
1
you're
quarterback, the
probably
number 1
better
pick.
off keeping Fields than a future 6.
like I'll be honest,
With-
if it's between Justin Fields and Jaden Daniels, it's fucking Justin Fields. And anyone who thinks
Yeah.
it's Jaden Daniels, I'm sorry, but Washington fucked themselves by taking him over Drake May.
Oh, wow.
I'm on
Strong
record of saying
stance.
it. They fucked themselves.
I don't know.
178-pound quarterback is going to get killed. And he doesn't even take good hits. It's not like Russell Wilson. He does not take good hits.
I saw one thing on Twitter where he just like it was just kamikaze. He just ran down the middle of the field between
Yes.
the hashes and then just like
Yes.
dove and like hit twice and did like a helicopter. Just like
I'm telling you, even if he's like good for 3 years, that's not what you want from your
Yeah.
second round pick or second overall.
Second
pick.
overall pick, yeah. Well,
he can
depends
throw
on
the
if he's
ball.
going to get the
He can
flags
throw the ball.
called. I mean, some quarterbacks seem to get them and some don't. I'm being serious.
That's
like,
true.
hopefully
That's true.
Caleb's the type that gets the call. I don't know.
He's gonna get it all. The only thing I'm
Seems like
worried
it.
about is his ball security when he runs.
You got to clean that up. There's
Yeah.
a few things, but
Yeah, no doubt.
There's
He's
no
not a
perfect
He's not a
prospects.
perfect prospect, but he's an exciting prospect, and he's on the Bears, and it's
We're
exciting.
we're excited about the
exciting.
Bears.
I know we're
we're
closing.
excited about the Hallis Huddle.
I got one more question.
Oh,
Do you think
we're
Keenan
excited about this
Allen
question.
gets extended?
What was that?
Do you think Keenan Allen gets extended, or do you think Rome Odunze is just the replacement of that? You move on from Keenan Allen, you look to extend DJ Moore, who's going into the second year.
Do you want to
Like next year, he goes.
I
he has one
guess
left.
I want to see how things play out a bit.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Keenan Allen wants to see how things play out a bit too.
Sure.
I think you'd have to look at what the market is going to demand and what that's going to look like. Is he going to take a lower amount to stay with a team he thinks is building towards something? But honestly, if he's not, I think this has become a landing spot for free agents. I think this is a place that people are going to want to come. So I'm not going to zero in and say it's got to be Keenan Allen, but
let's do it again.
Loading up for that 2025 season, I don't think it's going to be a problem finding guys to fit in.
Let's do it.
That's how I feel.
You put it in the shot,
but
no shot category.
I think Bob needs a response, but
I'll let him go.
Okay.
You get a shot, no shot category, and you got to put it in a 0 to 100% chance of an extension happening.
This is early for this
The
conversation.
thing is, like, I do think Keenan Allen is a businessman. He wasn't going to take his pay cut this year.
Correct.
Wanted to get traded. I think he wants to test free agency, and he's going to want that contract. So
that's true.
100%.
No matter what kind of happens here, like I don't think the Bears are giving him a market value contract.
That's where I'm at.
So
isn't that what I said too, or no?
Yeah,
yours was just more long.
You put us on the spot very early to make that. We haven't even seen OTAs yet or anything like that.
If I'm Keenan Allen, I just try to ball out as much as
I guess my point was, do you think Rome
Poles
Odunze is good enough where you just like, look, I don't care?
Yes, he's good. Yes, he's good enough. And Ryan Poles is, I feel, and you kind of brought it up before when you mentioned pace, he's very calculated, and I don't think he's going to let something like that overtake him when he realizes, okay, that's a price I don't want to pay. But hey, and I don't know the free agent class for that year, but there's going to be other guys that you could say, okay, we'll go down a couple notches. We'll promote Odunze to, get him a few more catches, and you're still going to have a solid 3.
And I think DJ Moore would be more likely to take a below market extension.
We did. Didn't we talk about we should be extending him this year?
I think
was that our conversation?
Thursday,
yeah,
but I think,
I would like that,
especially with all the wide receivers.
Do it now.
Extensions going
Save
on
yourself
right now.
some money.
But I mean, this is, I guess, maybe. I know we're trying to.
He's only 25, right?
Is it possible that DJ Moore and Rome Odunze both break Johnny Morris's record?
I think it's likely. Because actually, I was like, I think Odunze can break the record, but I think he'll have to break DJ Moore's record.
Right.
Is how I look at it.
Yeah.
He's already got a 1,400-yard head start on him. How many did he end up with last year?
That sounds about right.
Right around there.
Either 12 or 14, but I mean, it was
So we'll see. But I think locking him up, he's only 25, right? Or
25, I think, maybe going to be 26,
but doing it a year ahead, you're going to save yourself a lot of money because these contracts just keep going up. They don't go down. The cap will go up a little. So I mean, how are they? They're still in good position, you think, with the cap and all that? Or
yes, very much so.
Yeah, no doubt. They got hardly any.
They've done a good
bad
job
contracts and dead money. Like they
awesome.
don't have either of those right now.
It's amazing.
So.
And those still have a little bit of cap rolling
Nate
over.
Davis is probably the worst contract they have, if you want to look at it that way, right?
And I'm still holding out
for him. This could be a bounce back year for him.
A productive veteran is your worst contract. Like, okay.
From what I've understood, his mom was his person. Like I said, my dad was my person. Losing my dad still hurts me today. And we're talking, it's been over 4 years.
Wow.
So I get it.
Absolutely.
I get it.
So hopefully it's a bounce back year for him. Arrow is pointing way up for the
Jenkins
Bears.
needs to stay healthy. He gets a contract extension.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking save money there to sign Keenan Allen, but so we're excited about the Hallis Huddle. Hopefully you are too. Like, subscribe. We want to give away jerseys. There's so many good players that you could get jerseys.
How excited you are.
That's
What
right.
was your favorite pick? Did you like the punter?
Maybe we get some Tory Taylor punter jerseys. I don't know.
Do you have a nickname you want to throw out there?
Oh, yeah. I saw on Twitter. I can't remember who did it. Jacob Afante was the one that sent out the tweet. So you can find his tweet and then scroll to figure out. It's probably the top one. But he's an Aussie, right? Rugby player.
Australian kid.
Yeah. So someone threw out there that his name should be the Crocodile Punter. And everyone basically said, yes, you win.
That's good.
You win the internet for today.
Yeah. Wow. Very good.
Yeah.
All right.
Bear down.
Bear down.
There was no way we were going to keep this one.
We're hyped.
Fire blue, fire bowls. All right, guys.
I mean, you can't please